the stakeholders in the room, actually, so this is a good trial. We got service owners, we got leads for support, and we have, I think you're a member of the client satisfaction team, correct, Clint?
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. The only person that we don't have, but we use you as our sponsor. So the purpose of this discussion is to talk about how we currently answer negative surveys or less than positive surveys, and propose a alternative to improve the process. So, we have a problem. 8% of our clients return less than positive survey on the tickets that we close and they answered the surveys on. That provides us a huge opportunity for improvement. Our corporate target or our group target is 5%. I think that we can do better than that even. So today, the process, when someone returns a negative survey is, this is Mr. Client or Miss Client. They return a certain negative survey or they return a survey when the ticket is closed. What happens to that? The service owner reviews the ticket and answers a analysis survey of what the issue was or issues were with the service. The support lead reviews the survey as well, perhaps. They, I believe, answer a survey, the same survey that's being filled out by the service owner. Finally, on a monthly or weekly basis, or maybe quarterly, the client satisfaction team reviews the same set of surveys. And then they report that to senior leadership within AMS. Do you see a problem with how, when you review a negative survey, what do? Support lead. Do you answer the survey? Do you talk to the support owner? You talk to the client satisfaction team? Does any of that dialogue occur?
Yeah, so before I would fill out this survey, I would reach out to the SSO first to see if they have reached out to the client.
Right.
If they didn't, then I would go ahead and reach out to the client and fill out the survey.
Is it a somewhat disjointed process?
It is, because as an SSO, sometimes in the heat of the moment, we just try and get the surveys completed. And if we're behind on our workload, we'll just click through the validation or immediately call the client. And sometimes, not always, we'll do double calls where the team leader, the associate, has already followed up on the issue and it's already handled. Most of the time, the associate's already taken care of that issue, and I'm just like, hey, just to follow up, did this get resolved to your satisfaction? Or like, yeah, that was done like immediately.
I think I have a question for clarification purposes. When we have additional comments, I tend to write a lot about what followed up on. I think it'd be good to see what exactly should we include in additional comments. Because sometimes I don't know, like how much detail are they expecting from me? Because sometimes I'll write a lot if I did A, B, C, what happened, but I don't really know. That could be clear.
Right.
What do you want from us?
Well, I think it just goes back to we don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
looking at it
Who's
and what
using
happens
it.
with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then from the client satisfaction team perspective, you have dialogue with the support owners or the team leads.
Correct. So it's then going back to the teams that are maybe performing under the baseline, and so then they come and present kind of what they're doing to help bring their team's average back up to at least that baseline or even higher. So then there's 30, 60, 90-day plans against each of those teams, and then we start looking at it a step further and looking at some of the clients that seem to be more dissatisfied within those solutions. So that's just started more recently here in the last couple of weeks or so. But then pulling them in to say, hey, what are you doing in that space? And then doing follow-ups with those client SSOs then as well. So yeah, it's certainly a process that needs a more closed loop, I think is what we're talking about.
Right, I mean, what I hear you saying is there's some duplication of effort,
Yeah,
some ambiguity,
yeah,
and there's 900 of these surveys a month approximately that are returned, that are negative, that need to be reviewed. So that duplication of effort by each of us, in our roles, leads to a lot of time.
right.
And if we're doing the same thing in parallel, we could each be spending an hour instead of each spending 30 minutes. So
Mhm.
instead of 3 hours, it could be 90 minutes that we spend. Yes.
I actually had a client tell me they only rate 4s and 5s because they're tired of being followed up with on 1, 2, and 3s.
Because were they being followed up by
Yeah, 'cause I
multiple
follow-
people here
yeah,
at Cerner?
And they say, I do not have to justify multiple times why I gave a bad response, it should be self-explanatory.
Did we try to tickle them?
Well,
Yeah,
I
we
said,
did.
if you don't want us to follow up with you, just say, please do not follow up with me in the survey, if you really don't want us to follow up with you. But that's really what they said.
Right.
People still.
I just wanted to share that, I mean, I think that's important to know.
So, does that look like what we're doing?
Yep.
We're all pulling on the rope in different directions. I have analyzed the process that we have with as much written documentation as it has. And this looks like the process. It's a little more detailed than what I drew on the board. And it doesn't show us at this point with the team leads following up with the client, but it shows the disjointed process. So do you think that this accurately, as far as we can put on one slide, depicts the process that we have?
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of going in different places and where's kind of the closed loop process.
Right. Which is it looks exactly like that. We're all pulling in different directions. So, the proposal is a more streamlined process, an iterative process where we are working together. The service owner being the first step, they review the survey, they communicate with the team lead if there appear to be associate training issues or process adherence issues. And then they report back to the client the status of the survey that has been received. Here's what we're doing process-wise, or we've recommended process-wise. Here's what we're doing to educate or better train our associates and how they respond, because we do have a process in place. Or here's some things that you, Mr. and Ms. Client, could do internally to maybe move this along more quickly, because oftentimes turnaround time is our issue. Here's what we could do to move this along more quickly. Here's what we could do to avoid confusion. And if there are cases where we do need to make adjustments to our service policy, there's a feedback loop in conjunction with the team leads back to the client satisfaction team because they're the ones who are going to bless the process improvement. None of us we're all empowered to make suggestions, but we're not empowered to actually implement the process without it being organized throughout the entire group. So the process that's being proposed is an iterative process, one that builds on each other's work. And as we talked about earlier, if we're each spending an hour doing the same thing in parallel, perhaps if we're spending 30 minutes, we can reduce this from 3 hours down to 90 minutes of investment of our time and actually make it more effective to the client, which is our end result. Does this process look much more like people pulling on the rope in the same direction? I think it does. We will need to make, obviously, adjustments to this as we develop it, but we wanted to propose this as a change of direction to what we're doing currently to save us all time. As Bill Gates says, our most unhappy customers are our greatest source of learning. We can learn from what our clients want because we're selling service. And I know that because in the 27 years that I've been at Cerner, I personally had over 45,000 client interactions. Prior to being in AMS, I was in the immediate response center where we were frontline associates, so we were dealing with, at least 40 interactions per day, every day that we were there, between the initial phone call and then the final phone call on every ticket. So we can learn a lot from our clients. With this improvement, or with this change to our process, we will go from all pulling in different directions to all pulling in one direction and improving our client satisfaction from being 8% negative to, I believe, at most, more than 5%. So we will reach our target, and I think that we'll go beyond that. I think we'll be, none of us are perfect. We're always going to have issues where we have not satisfied the client, but we can do a lot better than 8%. Any questions?
I like how you streamline the process to make
Yeah.
it better, but like, how are the team leads supposed to review the responses? Is there gonna be like a report or an IBOT that we'll be getting, or how, or is the SSO still having that communication?
Right.
Or is there gonna be both?
And I recently participated in a further ITIL, I think you were there, Clint, service improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than focusing on discussion of a tool, because that's really what we'll have to have developed, a tool that will support this tool, we'll have to have adjustments made to our tool set. So what I would anticipate is that we will have a tool that will take the service owner's review and the results of that and have it captured in a database, and then there'll be a follow-up survey that the service team leads will review, and they will quantify their action in that tool, and then they will pass it on to the client satisfaction team. So I purposely stayed away from talking about specific tools because I don't want to just get us bogged down in the weeds. But yes, we'll have to have tool development.
I really like that